Alright, so today I took up Warlock to rank 3, and I'll be honest, it was between him and Shuri, and the reason I went for Warlock over Shuri is because Warlock just kind of is special to me, and he's special to me because he was actually my first ever rank 5 6-star character. So yeah, like he will always, have that when it comes to just like overall value for me. Like he will always be known as my first ever rank 5 6-star, and that does mean something because hey, without that first ever rank 5 6-star, I don't know where this channel or like where my account would be. And I'll be honest, Warlock was always a draw for my channel. He would always do like really good view wise, and I don't know if that's gonna like stay the same obviously, but now that he's rank 3, the damage output is a whole lot better, and here's the best part: he hasn't lost a step in my opinion. I think that he is still a very strong champion. I think his utility is so unique and honestly just nearly impossible to replicate. Like the infection mechanic is so dang insane, and it's still so valuable to this day. And I'm gonna showcase a fight, and that's gonna like tell you pretty much everything you need to know about like how he's still such a relevant character. Speaking of relevance, right now we are taking on the most recent like Eternity of Pain type of boss here. So like in November of 2024, this man is still a top tier option for like one of the most recent additions to the game, which is this Jabari Panther boss. Now this Jabari Panther boss is pretty interesting. She's not like super difficult, but she can be really annoying if she does chip your block and get the regen with the Vital Strikes node. Now Warlock has the infection mechanic, and what that does is it just disables all healing. Well, it doesn't disable it, it just blocks out all healing. And while the opponent is trying to regen, it just never occurs, right? It is really powerful, and it's such a good mechanic that honestly is timeless. Like regen will always be a thing. We see it so often, and even like mutant buffs have like characters that are based around regen. For example, I think the most recent one is Mr. Sinister, and that man is all about regen. So yeah, like he still counters meta mutant champions to this day. I think he's pretty good for Dust. I think he's okay for Onslaught. But yeah, some champions he can't do that well, but that's like a given. Like of course there will be some fights that he just isn't that good for. Not every character can just take every champion, except if your name is Hercules, but that's whatever. We're just used to that by now. But now we have this Omega Red boss, and this is just like a damage test for Warlock, and he crushes it. Like against mutant characters especially, his damage output is just absurd. It is honestly really dumb, and it's crazy because he is not known to be a DPS. Of course, quick disclaimer, I do have the recoil masteries on for this entire video because I think Warlock just is a champion that you want to run like the recoil masteries with. I think it is such a good investment for Warlock, especially if he is one of your few rank 3 champions. It's not like he needs them per se because he still puts up pretty good times in battlegrounds, for example, but it is still very fun to like use it in questing. And you do like 38,000 mediums, so like who doesn't love that, And yeah, that was like a 1-minute boss fight. Honestly, pretty incredible stuff. For future showcases, I'll obviously have the recoil masteries off, but we're just having fun in this video, so I thought why not just give him, the maximum damage output. But now we have Mr. Sinister here. Mr. Sinister has made like waves in the contest because he is one of the best dual threat characters in the game as it stands. He is so good for defense, and he is also really strong for attack. And you want to have like some Mr. Sinister counters in your deck, especially like this meta, for example. And you know what? Warlock is, in my opinion, the best Mr. Sinister counter in the game still. And here's the thing with Mr. Sinister with Warlock: you get to just constantly power drain him, and he just never heals. So the fight is just under control pretty much instantly. And you pair that with his like good damage output, and yeah, he just goes down really quickly. Like, against mutant champions, he is just such a good damage dealer. And here's the thing, you don't think of Warlock for damage, you think of him for like the immunities, for the power control, for the regen control, and you know, people could argue that he doesn't really do much these days. Like, his utility kit is kind of generic, but when like your generic mechanics are countering regen and power, the two arguably most important things in the game to counter, that's why you're a timeless champion. That's why Warlock is a timeless character, because he counters two of the most important things in the game to counter. So it's like, yeah, of course this guy's gonna be timeless. He counters two of the most important things in the game. So yeah, that's why I think he is still a great rank 3 option. And of course, his damage output, like, it's not beyond God tier, though sometimes you can make it beyond God tier, and I'll make a video about that, because my gosh, this guy when he's fully decked out is just unreal. But like, in most cases, it is just fine damage output, right? But when you rank 3 him, you notice a pretty big change in his damage output, and I feel like that is what makes him such a good rank 3, because his benefit is very noticeable, and additionally, you pair that good damage with his very strong utility, and you have a champion that you'll just use all the time, to be honest. Like, you will pretty much always use this champion. He will always have a use in your roster, in your questing team, like, especially if you're a Recoil Masteries user. Yeah, this man isn't going anywhere. He is going to stay with you for a long time. Now for the final fight of this video, I have this really fun power shield fight, and you know, Warlock with increased attack rating and guaranteed crits is insane. Like, that's just a given. He was one of the best champions for crit me. I'm glad that meta's gone, but then again, this current meta isn't any better, so it's like, dang man. But speaking of this meta, he also is kind of good for it, because spite and, you know, power gain, which he does counter with the infection mechanic. So yeah, he's honestly pretty decent for it. There we dropped the SP2, and yeah, that is absurd damage. But yeah, I just gotta do it one more time, and then this fight and this video is a wrap. But I do kind of struggle to get that final SP2 going, because I just cannot play this game apparently. But it's okay, just gotta get to the SP2 and then we should be chilling. Emphasis on the should though. There we go for the combo into an intercept, or no, just for a parry to get rid of the cleanse. And now it's time for the SP2, but he is just not playing ball, and then he drops the SP1 instantly, because of course he does. Speaking of SP1s and Warlock, he is also a pretty good defender, so like, he has that dual threat value, especially if he is awakened. If he is awakened, you have an extra source of damage and you have some defensive utility as well. So yeah, Warlock is just a great all-around character. Insanely fun to play, one of the best animations in the game. I think he is like definitely top 10 at least. Just such a fun champion to play, and very strong, obviously, like a really good character. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on rank 3 Warlock. My next video is probably going to be reviewing the PC version of Mcoc, because I was able to test that in the beta, and yeah, it's an experience for sure, and I cannot believe that I got to do it. So yeah, I am super grateful, but I'll have my thoughts on that pretty soon. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on rank 3 Warlock, and yeah, that's about it for me.